Perfect.
There we are. Hey, good evening, everybody.
Hi there.
Folks, a minute or two to hop on. Um, Hope you're all ready for tomorrow or tonight, I guess overnight. When we wake up, I suspect it'll be a winter wonderland if you're in southern and particularly southeastern New Hampshire. But actually, if you're up in the upper valley, the North Country, even out in Monadnock Valley, I feel like Mike Haddad on WMUR right now. The that actually, you guys may not get a whole lot of snow. Our friends out on the western and northwestern parts of the state, but Shanna, you're in Bedford. Are you guys gonna get hit?
I think I'm gonna get like a foot. I don't know. I've been driving around all day. It's just been glum and it looks like it's been snowing all day because you're driving through and all the snow's falling off the trees. And I can't tell if it's been snowing. I don't think it's been snowing today,
Not
but it
yet.
feels like it as you're driving along.
Well,
Adopting two parrots. And so I have been driving around trying to get these parrots in my house all day.
this is not ideal weather for the parrots.
No, no, I got one here, and the other one is still waiting for me. Couldn't get their cage apart. Series of unfortunate events, so they are still there. But I got one. He's
Okay,
here,
halfway home.
halfway. Yep.
We dropped off a daughter today. Our younger daughter's a junior in college. She goes to the University of Ottawa up in Canada, where they're not going to get any of the snow. And my wife Sandy had to take her to the airport. Meanwhile, I had an event up in Warner today. We had a great time. The Warner, hello, Keen. I see that in the comments. Warner, Bradford, and Henniker, which make up a fairly blue but not entirely safe blue district. And we had the three state reps, wonderful state reps from there, as well
Mhm.
as many activists and the town chairs and all. And we spent a lot of time talking about 2026 and some of the stuff that we do. They want to learn more. So
Mhm.
we'll be glad in the weeks and months to do that. I got home in time. I apologize for my voice, which is going fast. Been sick all weekend, so we'll make this pretty quick.
Yeah.
Uh,
As far as action alert, we've been working on a post for House Bill 751, the one we spoke about last week, which is the open enrollment amendment. That bill is going to a committee of conference there's no date set on it yet. So we're asking folks to contact the governor, to contact their reps, saying that they don't want it. If you are in um, our app, which if you're not in our app, an email back and we'll get you in. We're loading up some content for all the galleries to be able to have something to post on it and an action item. Um, there are several education bills this week that we're looking at, including House Bill 1804, which is consolidating SAUs. There's one HB 1358, which is a study committee to transition all public schools to public charter schools. Those were going to be heard tomorrow, but they've postponed tomorrow to Tuesday. Um, there's a there's a bill HB 1773 that is trying to qualify what food and drink you could purchase under the SNAP assistance program. Um, there's a personhood bill, HB 1590, that's being heard on Wednesday, which is horrible. Um, there are several other bills that are going to happen this week, even though it's school vacation week, they're still holding hearings. Some of the committees. So there are, I think, a couple things to take action on this week, but mostly, Steve, I'd like to hear about what you're cooking up over there.
so one of the things, those of us who've been following our tweak in the work we do in terms of accountability the last few weeks, to try to be a little more surgical with key bills anyway. Many bills that matter, obviously, not to imply otherwise, but in a world where so many activists, we heard from a lot of activists are saying, "Hey, I'm getting flooded with items that often start blurring together. There are so many items, most of them trying their defensive mode, trying to stop bad things from happening in a legislature, a House that has 40 Republican seat advantage." And so one of the things we're trying to do is in the near term ask the question, are there key bills that would have maximum potential impact, typically negative impact if they became law, that that we believe have a chance at being able to get defeated, mainly, not mainly, entirely because there would be enough Republicans out of the 40 vote majority, the 217 of them, who might oppose it. And if we could we target some of our efforts, our opposition, our communication to the districts with those representatives who might be most amenable to voting in what we would call the right way on key
Mhm.
bills. So HB 751 was the bill that we last week talked about. And Shannon, as you said, this is kind of a quiet week relatively, although it was supposed to be a little quieter. And they've now stuffed in a couple of these potentially nasty, mainly education related bills in, which is going to complicate advocacy efforts, I think, for a lot of people. So, one of the questions I spent some hours this week is I wanted to look at I evaluated about 81 roll calls, those that may not be familiar. There are many votes. Some of them they call it consent, where they basically say aye to
Whatever the
few of
committee
bills,
says. Yeah.
right, that are considered uneventful. And then there'll be some other kinds that are a voice vote where the eyes have it, like you see on TV, that kind of thing.
Whether they
And
do or not, mind you.
whether they do or not.
It's infuriating to watch the
Oh
voice.
yeah, they'll be like the eyes nay before the nays say it. They'll be like, I guess eyes have it. And then there are the ones that really we can measure, and they are what they call the roll call votes. And there have been about 100 of them this year. There were some this week. But some of them are not really relevant for the following task. There may be 3 or 4 roll call votes on the same bill with minor changes, amendments along the way, and the final vote is the one that actually matters. Stuff like that. Some of them were roll call votes where virtually everybody agreed or disagreed, and so those aren't really good ones either. So I identified 81 roll call votes so far, and we'll continue
Mhm.
to add up as we go through the next month or two where it was generally Republicans vote one way, Democrats vote the other way. And that means most of them are going all in the same direction because of this Republican advantage in the House. But some of them are every Republican voted the same way, literally. And others have a handful, one, two, five. Some of them have, say, 20 or 30, pardon me, Republicans who voted against leadership. All right. Well, which ones are doing that the most consistently? Are there patterns to which bills? Are they ones that deal with infrastructure? Are they ones that deal with
Mhm.
education and so forth? And we have enough roll call votes that we can begin to understand that pattern. And I certainly have not accessed that. Perhaps others on the inside have this, and I hope they do. But I've been kind of identifying, and look, a lot of the legislators who are always with the Republican leadership, and about 56 of the 217 Republicans have not voted against the party a single time in the 81 votes. That's pretty remarkable, but it is over a quarter. Well, most of them are in really safe Republican districts. I get it. I don't like it. I get it. But there are some that are in pretty vulnerable districts. There are some that are in pretty red districts that I'm going to be honest that on some pretty important bills, they're showing what I would describe as courage to
Mhm.
vote against their party, knowing they're probably going to get hit pretty hard. And I respect that. That's important. I think we all should respect that. And so we are going to use some of that data to better target in selected bills. And this week it would be the HB 751 in particular, that would create open enrollment for the entire state. You can go on stevemarchand.com. I've written about it. I had a podcast with 2 school board members this past week They were awesome. One from
I went to
Georgia,
good
one from
one.
Lebanon. They were great.
Mhm. Yeah.
And they're real leaders, yeah, well beyond their community. You can look at on the my YouTube channel, and you'll find that our we had a conversation, Shana, Nicole, and I. Nicole is actually busy uploading content town by town as we speak. Midnight never strikes for us, and we're doing that. So we're going to use some of that data, but I'm not gonna say names right now. We're going to embed it in some of the data, but I can tell you that there are uh, a couple dozen Republican state reps that are voting certainly consistently enough on key bills uh, for protecting some semblance of public education that I have some hope that this bill can be killed. Whether that's because the conference of committee can't get it together because they can't come to agreement, that would kill it. Whether it goes to the House and some of these Republicans continue to show some independent leadership on some education bills,
Mhm.
or if Governor Ayotte, who has indicated she's unsure about HB 751, decides that if it were to get to her desk, that ultimately she would veto it. And so we've tried to direct communication, as you'll see in your individual communities in the reach out, that in some of your individual communities, you'll see ways that you can directly hit with your state rep. Be respectful, but talk about HB 751. We have all kinds of content, I think, to really empower you to be able to communicate in a way that's your voice and really good information. And then I don't care if you live in bright blue Portsmouth or ruby red Alton or New Ipswich, you can contact Governor Ayotte. You are her constituent,
Mhm.
and tell her that HB 751 would be one of the most damaging bills for New Hampshire communities and schools and taxpayers and homeowners in at least a generation. That's a fact. That is
Mhm.
true.
Mhm.
And she's on the fence. Don't be yelling at her and all this stuff. Be cool, be calm, give your information. And so I don't care what town you live in, there's a instruction for you on our Reach app for your community. So that's what we're basically doubling down on, and we have better data than ever. Going to do some more programming this week as well. Hoping to get another couple of podcast guests on to take other perspectives on HB 751. But like you said, Shanna, there's some other education bills this week. Folks are coming with both barrels blazing, going after public education.
Tom, Representative Corman, put a comment in the chat. He said, in the roll call to table HB 1002, which is the one that was repealing the tax exemption for solar panels, Osborne voted yay, but nobody else from Republican leadership did, and 29 R's voted yay altogether. So in your analysis that you did this weekend of the roll calls, you obviously are maybe need some more time to do this, but the trend on topic, is there a trend on topic?
There does seem to be, and I'm going to do some more work on that over the next 24 hours. But and by the way, I suppose, especially when Democrats have had the majority in the House, the larger your caucuses, by definition, the wider your tent has to be.
Hmm.
Um, you're not going to get 225, or they get 217 at the moment. Uh, when you get north of that 200, 210, you're going to get some folks that are sensitive about certain issues in ways that will break with some of the party leadership. So, for example, there's a handful of bills that I would describe as infrastructure related, and I think it's not inconsistent that you could see within the Republican Party there's a strain of pro infrastructure, pro investment. It's kind of the part of the blue collar coalition that has grown in the Republican Party in general. And it's not a huge group. It's not like there's 50 like this, but
Mhm.
there's a subset of Republican legislators that appear on investing in infrastructure are go along with the Democrats on those bills.
Mhm.
There's certainly some on education, and I think that's probably we have a lot of data on that. We have a lot of bills that touch on education in one form or another, and so we can see patterns more clearly. And it's a bigger cohort that have a lot of concerns. Some in what I would describe as a pro public education stance. Some, I think, are probably open to some changes in the way public education is delivered, but find that in their communities it would be particularly harmful to property taxpayers and homeowners, which that's representing your constituents right there. And and there are others that I think have problems with some of the details in it, or the magnitude, how far and how fast some of it's going. And when you look at it, I would say, and I'll have more specific analysis probably by tomorrow night. There's probably a good 25 or 30 House Republicans who, on some parts of education policy, are uncomfortable with the extent to which the Republican leadership has been pushing it. And I think this is where, if we as Democrats, as activists, as opinion leaders in our communities, elected officials, if we're able to communicate, and Shanna, you know this better than anybody, if we're able to communicate through the prism of how folks like that see the education issue, rather than say, in the way that you uber progressive activists from super blue town might communicate it, that's a chance to really make a connection. So it's not about, compromising your principles or your values or your beliefs. Far from it. It's about connecting, often in non uh, strictly speaking, 7-point policy plan kind of ways, to connect on the values level, understand why a legislator might have a concern, and you'll probably find a way to connect in sharing that concern. And that's a big part of why some of these folks are voting, thankfully, making a tough vote in the right direction on some really big issues like this.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got a lot of financial pressures in their life right now. Financial pressures, other pressures, depending on, um, where you are in life. But I am finding that all of these bills that they're pushing through are just so extraordinarily irresponsible. And I think it's important for us in the agendas that our leadership has put out. We're talking about things to put more money in people's pockets, to fund things more fairly, to live up to the promise of public education, etc. Uh, Putting bills through that would help develop more affordable housing. And we're pushing an agenda that is for responsible government. And I think that the more we can talk about the good things that we're trying to do, the more there will be an opening for these X number, what did you say, 30 of them?
It's probably about 30.
Yeah, for these 30 to say, you know what? I think our party has gone too far, and it's time. These things that the Democrats are putting out are not bad things. I have seen those bills, Tom, that you're talking about, the judiciary, this week. There are, if anybody wants to go on Gen Court and look at the Judiciary Committee, I don't have them in front of me, but they're truly puzzling. It's puzzling, you know?
Well, yeah, and look, there are many bills out of the 81 which had complete Republican agreement. And and the Democrats, to be honest, because it's a smaller caucus, right? It's only about 177. And of
Mhm.
course, not everybody shows up on a given day on either party. It is a more cohesive caucus right now because it's a little smaller. And so there are only a handful of Democrats on a given bill. But a lot of these are just they'd be a tough pill to swallow, I think, for most Democrats or Democratic leaning independents. So we're gonna evaluate that some more. I think
Mhm.
there is one other thing that I do want to mention, just because it's a late breaking one. It actually
Mhm.
was an addendum to the House calendar. Folks might have missed it. So it's Friday morning, February 27th. So this Friday at 9:30 a.m. in Judiciary. Earlier this year, you might recall that our one Democratic executive counselor, Karen Leon Hill, there's a bill to explore impeaching her for something that the Attorney General's office has already investigated and concluded there was no wrongdoing. It's
Right.
right. It's done from a legal matter, but Representative Joe Sweeney from Salem, who is often looks for the shiny object on things, he says that her sending emails to, I think it was 5 different folks that, again, the AG's office concluded there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Dealing with voter ID laws that she and I think most of our viewers would find purposely uh, obstructionist, difficult to get people to vote. Pardon me. That they thought it was worthy of impeachment. I just want to clarify: only 2 people in the history of New Hampshire have been impeached. Neither were convicted. One was in the 18th century. The other was in the late 1990s. Both were judges. One was acquitted, and the other retired before they got to it. The one in the 18th century. No elected official in the history of New Hampshire has ever been impeached. And this strikes us as a very unusual place to start. So at 9:30 on Friday morning, February 27th, in the Judiciary Committee's room 230, well, I'll send some stuff out over the course of the week on this.
Right.
It's HR 41. It's a House resolution. And it would instruct the House of Representatives to investigate whether grounds exist to impeach Councillor Hill, Leo Hill. So there are opportunities to communicate how you feel about it online. If you could be there in person, obviously, that's always very helpful. I understand it's a bigger lift for most folks, but that's HR 41, and it's
So
absurd. And that's this Friday at 9:30. They're trying to make a thing out of it. The AG's office said there was nothing. What are we doing here?
So it seems to me that House Judiciary would just say, well, wouldn't the tool that the resolution would trip off would be an investigation by the AG? Like it seems like they're going in a circle and they just need to just kill it because it's already happened, and now they're wasting time on this. I hate to compare it to something else I'm seeing, but like, it let's not do this. Let's not do these distractions. This is not helping anybody be able to afford their health insurance, their groceries, the gas, the housing. Like, this is just like a partisan
And
thing that's already been resolved.
and here's the thing. Look, New Hampshire isn't perfect, but it's pretty awesome. And one of the things that we've generally done very well in the state over the course of about a quarter millennium is to not use tools like this as
Right.
overt political weapons. We have not seen Republicans do this to Democrats or Democrats do this to Republicans. It's never, again, no elected official has ever been impeached in the history of New Hampshire, much less convicted. Impeach is just step one. You then
Mm.
would have to be convicted by the Senate. The rules don't even exist for precisely how one has to do this. So this is a House resolution that would, if approved, if voted, would would open an investigation to see if there were grounds. So I want to make sure that folks understand this is meant to drag it out, to create
Right.
drama,
Right.
and as you say, Shayna, has
It's
nothing to
already
do with
happened.
anything. It's
Right.
already happened.
It's already
He's already
happened. So it
investigated.
doesn't make any sense. Um, yeah, it will be interesting, unfortunately. Not that I want it to have anything like this to be Googling at, it's just a waste of time.
Well, I see here, good point by our friend, Representative Tom Corman. Representative Bob Lynn is the chair of the committee and has an unusual
Right.
career attribute, right?
Yeah.
A former state Supreme Court justice. And, Tom, I've heard this from others as well. He is partisan, but he also is a stickler for judicial procedure, as Tom says. And so I do get the sense that, and I'm hopeful that Representative Lynn will take this seriously. And I'd like to think, despite any partisan leanings, he probably has a better appreciation for the 200 plus year history of New Hampshire, 250-year history of New Hampshire in this regard. and that the bar for something like this should be awfully high given that history. Because if this is where we're going, then both parties are just, it's kind of what's happened with the gerrymander
Right.
nationally. It's the
Yeah.
same thing. As soon as one party started going way down that road, the other party was going to go right down that road. Nobody's better off for this.
Mhm.
And neither party will be better off if this goes anywhere. And I'm hopeful that it won't.
Mhm.
Anyway, that's HR 41, and that's going to be in the news a lot later this week. It was a last minute addition. It was a separate addendum to the House calendar that I was made aware of just today.
Right.
So that's something to mention. But HB 751, this open enrollment is a big friggin' deal. And that's why we're highlighting it some more. Please go to the Reach app if you, Shanna, if folks here, anybody here has not already gone through that process, what would be the easiest way for them to leap in so they can get activated?
Let me try to get the link and post it in here. Let me find the link to that for
And I'll
folks.
send something out at some point tomorrow that'll include a recording of this. I know some folks said they missed the beginning, and I'll make sure the link is in there as well, so folks can do that. Nicole, like I said, doing a lot of work as we speak on this, and the data we're getting is getting better and better. And this new layering of Republicans' voting records are it's going to be very helpful. I think Shayna hopped off for a second. We'll see if she hops on, and then we'll sign off here in a minute or two. See if there's any other questions while let's see here. There we go. Sorry about that. I'm reading this. Uh, yeah, I mean, I'm going here with Tom a little bit more. The real motivation is that they expect Councilor Leo Hill to run for governor eventually. They're teeing up for Karen what the National Republicans did to Hillary, taking aim well in advance of the actual run. I mean, there's a lot of precedent for this nationally. To any time that the bench can get built to try to knock that bench down before it has a chance of going anywhere. And look, Karen Leod Hill, despite being 1 out of 5, I think has been very effective in her first year plus as an executive counselor. I've known her for a long time. I've done a lot of work with her professionally as a volunteer, all the above, and proud to call her a friend of 20 plus years. She can collaborate really well across the aisle, and I think that's helped make her effective on a council with the Republican governor and 4 Republican executive counselors as well. So again, that's HR 41, and that'll be heard this Friday morning. I'll give Shayna one more second here to see if she hops back on. But regardless, I will send something out tomorrow that will have a recording of this, and please distribute that, as well as a link if you're not already part of Reach, so that you will be able to get into your precinct or your town and be able to communicate using the tools and the data that we've invested time and money in, and hopefully you'll find that very helpful. So um, I see it's 8 o'clock. We endeavor to try to keep these at a half hour now as we're focusing more. Okay, good. Shayna has added the link if you want to hop on, and this will get you ready to go on Reach, which is our platform for all of the collateral that we build using the tools that we built. Yes, Susan. Yeah, I see that. Yes. Want to see the link, please? That link has just been added by Shayna. So I'll give you guys a second to look at that, to click on it, and then we'll send you off. Last note: if you haven't had a chance, had a um, podcast published late last week. Lil Mon, she's the chair of the Lebanon School Board, and Michaela Demeter, who is a member of the Dover School Board, were my guests. They're two, along with Curtis Hamilton, who I saw Curtis, I think, was joining us tonight from the great town of Peterborough, or the Conval, rather, the Conval district. The three of them have been real leaders in the state in gathering more than 100 school board members and school administrators voicing their opposition to HB 751, the open enrollment bill, as well as listing a never ending group of questions that the legislation um, kind of begs. And you'll see it's pages of questions. And if you go to that podcast, go to the Steve Marchand podcast, you'll see that. And I include some notes in the episodes so that you can click and see the work that they're doing, the open letter they've written, and the impressive list of supporters that they have. You can also go to stevemarchand.com, and that's my Substack. Please subscribe if you're not already. And a shout out to some of you here are paid subscribers. You really make it possible because invest a lot of time on the digital, on the video, the audio, the podcast, the writing. I've got some new writing up on Friday. I hope you take a look at that. And if you're not a paid subscriber, please consider doing so. Going to have some exciting events for exclusive uh, events online and some in-person opportunities for my paid subscribers as another way to say thank you and make sure that you're getting maximum value for the investment you're making in me and on the platform, which I'm deeply appreciative for. Anyway, okay, I think Shane I come back. We have been on for half an hour, and that seems like enough. I got to get my voice back for tomorrow anyway. Thank you so much, everybody, for being a part of this. Please spread the gospel, and if you do not get this, oh, Curtis, sorry about that. It is Greenfield. If you need the link again tomorrow, look for the email or Substack notification that you'll get from me. It'll include the recording as well as a link to the Reach platform. Okay, thanks guys so much. Appreciate you taking some time. Please be safe. Remember, shovel with your legs, not your back. And we will see you again later this week. Thanks, guys. Have a great evening. Bye bye.